Okay, welcome back. We are back in action, and Imri still continues to show the way. He's 9 seconds in front at the moment. Apologies for all that. Hopefully the problem should be sorted. Things look a lot smoother on my end, so we'll continue on as we were. So Imri now showing the way by a big 8, what is now 8.9 seconds. Pope still in P2, down in 3rd place, being chased by Huff in 4th. Curtis runs in P5, DJ, TJ, Alvar, Websy, and Lucky are top 10. So things relatively unchanged since we left things off earlier. Again, apologies for the abrupt delay, but we are back in action now, and hopefully we should be good until the checker flag. So we'll carry on with the next 51 laps or so left to go in the Grand Prix. So still plenty of time to come, still plenty of racing to come your way this evening. But Imri in complete control of things, and Grumio's still dead last. Obviously, I mean, he's made a second stop here. He's not. Oh, well, that is. I'm guessing that's a game glitch. AT with no front wing or no front portion of that car, which is concerning. I'm guessing just a game glitch, so we'll leave that for now. To mine, he's all okay. But Grumio, they're dead last on a set of medium tyres now, currently sitting a total of 1 minute and 5 seconds back from Imri in P1, which is probably the biggest gap those two have had between them all season long, if I had to guess. Pope still giving chase in second. Huff there in third. Down with DRS and the run down towards turn 7. And looking towards 8. No chance for a move there for anyone. It's all single file for the time being. And everyone's a lot more split up now. So things looking a bit more controlled at this stage. But the two Haas cars are floundering right now. Currently back of the field. And the only two cars who have made pit stops though. So let's keep that in mind as well. They're both from about a minute back off of first place. I'm not quite sure what sort of strategy game those two are intending to play here, because they're both currently sat. Well, Grimmer's sat on a set of medium tyres, AT's sat on a set of hard. So I'm guessing he's going to try and go longer as long as he can in this Grand Prix. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm guessing that's his game plan, but we never really know. So we're on lap 13 of this race, and as I say, things yellow flag. It looks like 80's had a problem down. Oh, he's gone off completely. He's recovered the car, and JB gets hit with the first penalty of the evening. 3 seconds, multiple warnings. So I'm guessing he's been caught. We've run afoul of the track limits at turns 1 and 2, 3. As Dan now makes the pass up front on Huff for 3rd place. So change is being made here, up and down the order. I've got another car into the pit lane. Ericsson's making a change here. Front wing change on that McLaren as well. Medium tyres going on, and Ericsson's away. So 3rd car's make a stop in this Grand Prix. 18 now running tail end of the field, but not for long, because those two will now jump the McLaren, move up into P18 and P19. So Grumio now 1 place up on his start position in this thing. 18 get next gear with that. Again, turns 1, 2, and 3. That little complex looks to be catching drivers out, or starting to catch them out. We may see a fair few more penalties in this Grand Prix, as Imri still showing the way. Pope's working away here. He's 3 seconds over Dan right now. Huff still on his tail. And DRS in play for Huff, Curtis, and for DJ. I wonder if Curtis perhaps may get to Huff before Huff gets to Dan. I mean, that could be the question later on in a lap or two. Like I say, number of DRS zones around the circuit. There's one of them here, going down towards turn 1. 4 DRS zones in all around Marina Bay. No concern about weather as far as we're aware in terms of tonight's action. There's been no sign of it at all over the course of qualifying or these first few laps, unless we missed some very quick downpour in the few laps in which we were away. Yellow flag again, and it's 80 again finding the coming close to finding the barriers. He's gone off at turn 13, recovers himself, and now falling behind the other pitted McLaren of Ericsson. As now here comes Curtis challenging Dan. Huff managed to make the pass, going down towards turn 7, and now sits in 3rd place. Let's try and chase after his teammate for tonight, that being Pope in the other Williams. Pope himself still focused on trying to run down Imri. He's 8.8 to the good right now. It's been all controlled, all smooth so far in this race from Imri. And we're almost a third of the way through. He's had no real challenger so far. He's just gotten his head down and carried on. And to mind, he's come out in the press this week saying we're going to see a new Imri, which was a story that we'd heard in the past before, but only seen actually come to the fore a few times. So we'll see here if this pace can carry on over the course of the evening. And if so, this could be quite a dominant victory if he keeps on the way he's going. But obviously, there's still a long way to go as AT finds the pit lane. Hard tyres again on that Haas. It's not been a good race for them so far. And Williams on course to gain more than a few points as AT now is bringing back on this car, so no concerns there for the time being. So he'll recover things. But those tyres weren't being too kind to him in that previous stint. Both Haas cars now made 2 stops in this race. And AT now sitting a lap down, 1 minute 17.3 behind Imri as it stands right now. He's 40 seconds off Ericsson, currently in P19, as Grumio makes his way down towards turn 15 on the circuit. He himself is 11 seconds back from Courtney Goblin in P17, who there, you're looking at another 20 seconds back to JB, and that's where the train starts to start to form up a little bit more. Oh, yellow flag. I've got a car going slowly there. That's blue flag, because that is AT being put a lap down by a number of cars around him. That last of those cars being Lucky Lambo, who holds on to that last points paying place. 4 seconds separates him from HP Cook for the time being, so things are nice and smooth for Ferrari right now, but things are also equally good for McLaren, who are currently, I mean, I said that they're not outscoring Aston Martin, they're outscoring Ferrari. That's the key thing for them. Aston Martin are here outscoring Alpine, who again have sort of trickled out the points and find themselves in P12 and P13 right now, PJ and Ethan. They saw PJ going for a little ride there over the curb. Keeps the car rolling. Lucky's still in pursuit of P9 right now. Websy currently holds that spot. As it stands, it's going to be 10 points gained for Aston Martin, which will be enough for them to jump Alpine in the standings. So it's a big night for them as they can keep things where they are. But obviously, I mean, normally we'll be looking at sort of this being around the sort of halfway stage in one of these races. But in this case, we are looking at going a fair bit further until this Grand Prix comes to an end. So we're going to be here for quite a while, I should think. Imri again, still under no real pressure as JB now finds the pit lane. Obviously can't serve the penalty. It's a 3-second penalty, can't serve it. Has to be tacked on at the end of the Grand Prix, such as always the rule of track limits. It's looking like hard tyres for the V-Carb driver as he makes his way in, making that change, and he's away. Connie Goodwin will likely make the pass on JB. Yes, he will, up into P16. You'll see the V-Carb rejoin. There he is. Back out on circuit once again. And Imri holding a steady lead. Dan yet to re-challenge Huff. Just get back around him for 3rd place. Well, I'm assuming let's try and change that soon. He's been on those, obviously been on those medium tyres since the lights went out, as have the majority. Good yellow flag again, sector 2. That's one of the looking like maybe a concern for Obsessed, who's fallen off the train a little bit there. Currently got 10th Cannon right behind. Well, saying that, it may have just been AT being put a lap down by everyone else. Difficult. And I always lost his front ring. Okay. Oh, I'm wondering if he may have gone off again at the. Oh, that's AT off. And that's the Grand Prix over for him. And I think that's a virtual safety car. Yes, it is. VSC's out. So, first retiree of the Grand Prix then. And I think that's the full course safety car. Yes, it is. Safety car's out. And the advantage Imri built up was about 9 to 10 seconds. Has now been washed out completely. And that'll be gutting after such a fantastic runaway in these first 16, 17 laps. So now the strategy will come into play for a number of drivers here up and down the field. And we'll see a few cars making their first stops. Hard tyres, the call for the majority of them. Obsessed onto a set of mediums. So right now we're looking at, yeah, just stops up and down the grid the top 8 have all stayed out. Obviously, we're past the pit lane before the safety car was called, so likely we'll see him in this time. Imrie should maintain his advantage. Well, obviously, I mean, I say he'll lose it for being at the back at that point. So as we run, Imrie's going to have to rebuild that advantage, which could be difficult. But it'll be on a fresh set of tyres, so we'll see how he handles the safety car restart. That'll be the big question. And Pope will be licking his lips at the prospect of being right back up behind his old teammate on this restart. Huff and Dan obviously still chasing. Huff still in front for the time being. Curtis P5. Obviously still looking at big points for Red Bull as it stands. P5, P7 for that team. DJ still in P6. Pepsi still in P9. So still looking at 10 points. Imrie comes in for his first stop of the Grand Prix. Actually, he would have liked to go longer if he could have done, but not to be in this case. But he is in. And no one's making the choice to stay out. So everyone is going for it here. So quite an awkward pit entry in Singapore. Half penalty for colliding with Dan. That's 10 seconds for him. That's going to cost him massively. I'm not sure if he can serve it in the pit lane now. I doubt he can. I think he might have to come back in. Yeah, he's going to have to serve that again at some point. He has to come back in for another stop at least to serve that. Pope rejoins in second place. Imrie's already up behind the safety car. But as I say, he's going to have to work up back at that whole advantage back up again. Grumio now still sitting in P18, but will get himself a chance to get close to everyone. So it could be a few minutes if we get back on the way again for the green flag. Obviously, AT in a bit of difficulty there, and from what I'm seeing, I'm guessing I've been told he may have rear wing damage, which is I'm guessing a concern or an obvious concern around especially a circuit as difficult as this. On to lap 19 now, so nearing the end of the first third of this Grand Prix. And just waiting on the cars from 11th place on down to catch up. Let's bring everyone back together again. In particular, bring together these cars for the back. JB, Grumio, 10th, Obsessed. Courtney Ericsson in behind as well. So McLaren and Ferrari obviously still duking it out for points in the Constructors this season. There's still there's not a massive gap between them as it stands right now. But obviously looking later on at the season in terms of who will emerge victorious in that sense. And right now it's Alvar and Lucky who have been the ones who have been duking back and forth for points at the minute. Still got a few cars yet to come through. Grumio now changing onto this fresh set of hard tyres. So may try and go longer in the Grand Prix now. We'll see what his game plan is. It's been a rough Grand Prix from so far, but at this point, the only good news for him is that he cannot finish below where he started, which is dead last. He can only finish at the same place or higher. So, if anything, a light positive to be taken from this Grand Prix. And again, if he can get himself to a 150-point lead or more than that by the end of next week's Grand Prix, at the end of the race in Texas, then he should be the RDL Season 20 champion. Obviously, it's all projected for the time being. And he's not doing himself any favours right now, especially if Dan is in position to go on to try and win this race. But Imrie I think will still take some beating in this Grand Prix, given how good he was in that first stint. And I imagine he'll probably going longer in this case, unless we get another safety car. But we always seem to get one around Singapore, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's not the last we see of him. Being told he's been lagging a little bit, which is a light concern. On to lap 19. Sorry, excuse me, on to lap 20 here. And I imagine we'll likely get the restart this time. I shouldn't think that Grumio will take that long to catch back up from here. The last few cars joining up here. Only waiting on JB, Cottony, Ericsson, Grumio. And we should get a start this time round. And as we start to look ahead to the restart here, we'll see, again, how the reactions are on the restart. Obviously, Singapore, there's not a lot of places to try and catch an opponent unawares and try and break away when leading that chain. It's very different to last week's race in Baku, for example, where, of course, you've got that long main straight and that long sort of run out of turn 17 up towards the end of the end of the lap and down towards turn 1, where you've got a lot of different windows to try and break away. You've sort of got to try and do it, perhaps go down towards turn 16 here. You've got a chance out of the chicane at turn 17. Obviously, you've got to nail the last 2 corners to give yourself a chance moving forward. You definitely can't bunch them all. It's difficult to bunch them all up, but we'll see what approach Imrie goes for. Given the pace, it wouldn't surprise me to see him try and go early and just try and bolt away from the cars behind. Obviously, he nailed the race start. Nailed it some 20 laps ago. Safety car in this lap, obviously, to make the call as they end the second sector. And Imrie is in command now. And can't go for a little bit, at least until the safety car is close to or enters the pit lane, as far as I'm aware, as they close up towards the Ferris wheel. Everyone going for those last few checks their tyres as Pope holding Dan and his teammate Huff and the rest of the field at bay. 19 cars still remaining in this Grand Prix. Grumio is further back here, about 2 seconds back from Ericsson, but should close to get back up here. Wait for Imrie to lead him away. He's bunching them up all the way up to the line, it seems. He's going for it now. Here he goes. Imrie blasting away, and it's a good restart here. He's actually managed to almost pull a second immediately. He's up 8 tenths or so off Pope to get back underway on lap 21. Dan is in P2, in P3, Huff P4. Oh, Grumio penalty there. Grumio penalty this early on. 3 seconds for him. That could be costly towards the end of the race as Ericsson backs off into turn 1. Lets the Haas go, it seems. And Imrie there after just a few corners out of turn 5 and already a second clear of Pope. That's what he needs here. And now he needs to get his head out and focus on rebuilding that lead again. And Pope's got to focus on trying to catch Imrie and not being swallowed up by the pack behind. So now all over him. Dan is on his tail. Alva making moves in the mid pack. He's making the pass on TJ. Those two side by side into turn 8. It's been quite close here. Another car being squeezed into the wall, so all is okay there. And TJ makes the pass stick. Passing Alvar up to 8th place now. Alvar down to P9, so it's just a 1 point gain on Ferrari. Lucky will be looking to try and take that point off Alvar. He knows how crucial that point will be for the Constructors' Championship in these late rounds of the season. We enter that last third of the competition. PJ Parsk obsessed. Alpine making a move. Alpine out the points as it stands right now. I'm sure they'd like to try and nick a point off of Lucky or off of Alvar, either one of them, to get themselves back in the fight with Aston Martin, because at least try and keep them even as best they can. Aston, I think, as it stands, are pulling in front in that championship. Only by a few points, but they are pulling away regardless. Imrie now 1.4 to the good as Pope still being chased by Dan, going into turn 16. And at the end of the first lap of the restart, we're obviously nearing the halfway station. On to lap 22. Imrie fastest lap, 1:32.555. So big gains for him here. Next fastest lap on the board is a 1:33.3. So again, he's been incredibly quick so far tonight. It's been fantastic to watch. And it's a level of dominance that we've not seen from Imrie all season long here. Obviously, the win in China earlier on the season was the result of a clever call in terms of strategy. But this has been raw pace, and obviously, while Grumio's not been able to challenge him, so we're not quite sure in terms of what pace Grumio has some third of the way into this thing. just given the sort of turbulent race he's had so far. But we'll see here if he gets his head down and starts to make some moves himself. As you see a car going wide in front, as PJ Khaled who runs wide and recovers it going towards turn 8. Still single file here, everyone keeping it nice and smooth. Yellow flags are not out right now, so all safe. Ericsson disconnects, he's their last of the running cars, tail of the field. So it's one McLaren, one Ferrari running at the tail end of the order. The other two McLarens and Ferraris currently at the tail end of the points. And it's McLaren in that case who have the advantage, both live in the championship standings and in this race. Ethan one away in, HP Cook behind. He's had a relatively quiet race thus far. In terms of position change in this race so far, we'll have a look at those as well. Your biggest gainer has been Grumio, who's up 4 places now. And your biggest dropper has been 10th Canada, who's gone down 5. Started P11 and currently down in P16. So needs to get her head down and needs to focus on pushing forward as Grumio locks off a bit going into turn 16. See 10, only a few points, only 4 points clear of Curtis going into this race for P6 in the standings. Didn't score last week. Curtis did 5th place in Baku last time out. And looking like 5th place again as it stands right now. Sure would love to take a podium of some kind in this race as well. If he can get himself close and to try and challenge Huff, Dam, Pope. Imrie 1.8 to the good. I thought for a second he hit the inside wall going through turn 7, but not to be. He's all okay for now. Ericsson falling away here, obviously still disconnected as it stands right now. Cottony in P18, he's sort of last in this little train, 1.5 back from JB. It's been a tough race with V-Club thus far. So they're now sort of by themselves in the constructors in that, what I believe is the 6th spot. They're sort of in no man's land and one of the few teams not really involved in a fight at the minute. Obviously, big fight still going on for 3rd place. Mercedes, Kick Sauber and Red Bull still all involved in that, separated by around sort of 30 points, 30, 40 points or so at the minute. And as it stands right now, I'd say it's likely, advantage Red Bull by 1 point to Mercedes. But down in 3rd place with a big haul for that team, obviously sitting 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship. 149 points back from Grumio going into tonight's event. Imrie, though, not building his lead as effectively as he was in the initial race start. Obviously, he was about 3 seconds in front at the end of the first lap or two. He's only 2 seconds in front after around 3 or 4 laps being back in action again. As Dan is trying to close the gap to Pope, using both battery and DRS to try and close in. Huff's depleted his and is out of DRS range completely, so might fall under pressure from Curtis or DJ behind. DJ's having a wonderful race so far. Obviously qualified P7, was up in P3 going into those last runs in qualifying before the session ended. Obviously, he didn't get much out of his last run, but still pushing on here. Doing a remarkable job. But Pope, I'm guessing, coming under a lot of pressure now from Dan. He's got both cars got plenty of battery, but Dan's got that all-important DRS here on the run down towards turn 16. Now, that will go for a move this time. He's not close enough by any means, and that straight just isn't really long enough. As HP Cook makes the pass on Ethan. They're side by side here, going up towards turn 16. HP Cook makes the clearance, and now PJ is going to follow the Sauber through, making the pass on his teammate. HP Cook back into P11 now. And looking to close up to Lucky, some 1.5 seconds in front, so no DRS for him. As Ericsson rejoins, about 4 seconds back from Cottony in P18. We're on lap 25 of this Grand Prix. We are nearing that halfway stage. JB, second penalty of this race. He's the only one with 6 seconds. Ethan and Grumio both have 3. Huff obviously has 10 seconds from the collision with Dan earlier on in the, well, I'm guessing on the pit lane entry is, I'm guessing, the site of that shunt. Wasn't much out of it for either one of those two cars, obviously. Penalties heightened a bit under the safety car. So we're up to him to try and recover that. And we do likely get to another stop in this Grand Prix. all single file here. 18 now disconnects. Obviously calling it quits after a difficult race tonight as Grumio goes up the inside there of Ethan looking for 13th place. The Alpine pulling ahead on corner exit. DRS for both cars. Can the champion make a move to come back around him? As side by side in turn 16, we saw Grumio lock up here a few laps ago. Keeps the car under control and squeezes Ethan out. And he might find the pressure now from Obsessed. Ericsson penalty there as he rejoins the session again. Has he got damage? Oh yeah, he does. Yes, there we go. Misses the end plate on the McLaren on that left side. Dan again close here. 3-second penalty. I wonder if he may see him retire perhaps. He's pulling the car in. I think this could be it for Ericsson. As Dan makes the pass on Pope at last. And there is your second retiree. Ericsson out of the Grand Prix. Tough evening for a number of drivers here. 2 of them to be exact. The question now is, does Pope get back around Dan? Perhaps sooner than Dan did vice versa. Yellow flag for the time being in that first sector. Obviously everyone else on the other side of the circuit, so no concern for the car despawning. The car despawning in the pit lane as opposed to him back out on track. It's always positive there's been no concern in terms of an AI car come back out on the circuit to retire, which is always positive to have that not be around for this week. Alvar still leading the chase for P9. He's currently got his hands full with trying to close on Websy. And DJ up front is, or in front of Websy, 2 places up, is still looking to try and close that gap on Kurtz and make that pass. But he's having to no avail right now. His efforts have been fruitless. Imrie starts to get his head down now. He's about 3.5 seconds in front. Focusing on rebuilding that advantage. And Pope quite close to Dan here. Again, DRS in play, but Dan uses the overtake to try and keep himself away from Pope for the time being. I doubt Dan would be able to break away from DRS range, but all the while, Imrie still holding that lead. Everyone has stopped in this race. You see, Grumio's made 3 stops in this thing. Up to P12 now. He's made the pass on PJ Keller for that top spot. So around both Alpine, takes Cook next on his hit list. He currently sits 14.3 seconds back from Imrie, which is possibly the closest he's been in the entirety of this race so far. So he's gone from being about a minute out, thanks to that, and obviously thanks to that safety car, brought back into action. So nearing the halfway stage, we know not to count Grumio out of this thing just yet. The penalty he's got might not help his case, so he'll need to close up to Imrie, take the lead, and then build a further advantage to at least 3 seconds, and that's provided he gets no other penalties. Obviously, the guys in front can make his life a bit easier by getting their own. But so far, majority of drivers have been pretty good on track limits so far. I only got 4 cars with penalties, and one of them is for a collision. So just those 3 to think about, but 4 penalties being given out. Obviously, Pope's still quite close to Dan here. I dare say we could see another move being made this time round on the run down towards turn 7. If we can get a good enough exit. Dan using overtakes to try and keep himself away. Pope's got overtake and DRS in play. So again, another move here. Pope makes the move to the left-hand side. And the Season 11 champion gets around Dan with ease. Dan currently staring down the barrel at his second runner-up finish in the Drivers' Championship in the RDL. His first one coming last season, again to Grumio. Three laps from halfway in Singapore. And a race that hasn't been as action-packed as we have seen previously in shorter races around here. But I mean, this race has always been sort of more of a race of attrition in the past. The weather, obviously, being dry for the minute, has not really played into the hands of the entertainment side. But still having a good race here, and obviously a number of cars still in the chase. Grumio perhaps not as potent so far in this race as he has been in previous races. Obviously, he won the last 3 Grand Prix going into this one. Obviously, beaten by quickly both at Zandvoort and in Monza, but being the first full-time driver over the line takes the 25 points, so that's helped his case massively. I dare say if Quickly was a full-time driver, it would be a very different story. Be brought into the league through recommendation by Imrie in a successful trial. And currently set as a reserve, but I imagine if we see him go full-time next season, we could see another face up front, which is always good to see. Hafthor's been contending up there. Obviously, he had a bit of a rocky start in terms of reserving life in this league. It's always been a qualifying maestro in each of his runs, but hasn't been able to quite pull it together every time in the race. But he's definitely gotten better. He's made strides compared to that first race in Monaco, where he obviously really fell back down the field. So it's good to see a good batch of competitive drivers. Kurz is still at MP5, holding on to things. 10 points going his way right now. That should be enough. That'll be enough to move him in front of 10th Cannon by a few, up into that coveted 6th place in the championship, which has been contested by a number of drivers here. Obviously, both Red Bulls chasing 10th, AT in the fight there as well, but obviously will fall back a bit after the tough result tonight. I'm not quite sure what it was about that run at turn 13, but just not getting on with that corner at all. Lucky Lambert 3-second penalty. That's the 5th driver to receive one on the track in a minute, and that would be difficult for him to stomach given that he's got a number of cars who are within those 3 seconds, one of them being HB Cook, who will be on course for the last point as it stands. Obviously half up there in the top 10, meaning obviously as a reserve he can't score points, so those points will go to the driver in 11th, that being HB Cook as it stands. So Lucky doing fine for the time being to keep himself in the top 10 as Dan makes another pass on Pope. They're back and forth once again going into turn 7. At turn 8, Dan keeps his car clear. JB, 3rd penalty leading for him. It's not been a good one from him so far. 10th, sort of trailing in the back of the field at the minute. So the B car struggling. 4.6 seconds as we near the halfway mark. That's the gap for Imrie to Dan right now. And he continues to stretch it out. So just controlling the Grand Prix. Nice and quiet for him. It took him quite a while to take that most recent career victory until he managed to win in China. As I say, round 2 this season. His last victory prior to that was Qatar back in season 16. So it was quite a while. Imrie had to wait for that next victory to come. So he made 116 starts in this league. Taking 3 wins, 24 poles. Very, very much Charles Leclerc-esque in that sense that qualifying has always been his forte. He's got the most poles of anyone this season. But winning races has always been a bit more of a difficulty for Imrie, regardless of how it's been happening. But as a result here, currently he's obviously one of the 4 race winners this season. Grumio's taken 12 wins, Dan's taken 2, and 1 each for Che and for Imrie. So looking for career win number 4 today, and it'll be a good day for him to do it. And obviously, as it stands, about obviously 10 points back from Pope going into this event. And as it stands right now, if Dan can do what I'm guessing Imrie's hoping to do and keep the Williams driver behind him, then that will mean wonders for Imrie's championship in the race of 4th as well, because Imrie should jump Pope. And I think we'll jump him even now by virtue of race victories. Imrie's 2 to Pope's 0 this season. He's now about to jump that 5-second hurdle. And further back here, still single file. Grumio making virtually no progress right now. He's still sat there behind HB Cook. And I'm wondering if he's got a plan to get us out of this situation at this point. Courtney Goblin penalty. Obviously last of the running car, 16 seconds back right now. And struggling. As you saw, you start seeing cars going through here at turn 14 to the other side of the circuit. A slide there from Dan. Obviously, the hard tires go a lot longer than we're used to in that sense before they start to fall off again. So we're at lap 32, officially halfway home now. We'll see another move being made here in the race for second place. Pope with quite a good run around the outside now. Again, going for it and down. It's just sort of back and forth for these two over the course of this one. Pope makes the clearance, and Huff still there in P4. Still close to these guys, but unable to really get involved. Unable to take anything in this fight. Just sort of sat there backing his reserve teammate up. As Dan slides again there. And I wonder if he's been pushing those tyres too much. See, temperatures and just grip in general around Singapore, never nice to deal with, as it is with a number of tracks in the calendar. Tyre wear obviously bumped off a bit more for F1 25 as Pope came dangerously close there to that barrier. Leaving turn 12. Oh, sorry, rather going through turn 11, apologies. On corner exit turn 11. And Dan would need a much better exit at turn 14 to be a lot closer to Pope. To make a challenge here towards turn 16, but nothing for the time being, nothing doing there. You can see him close up, but no progress being made, so we'll stay where he is for now. In through turns 18 and 19, there's 30 laps to go now. And Grumio finally makes some progress here, all challenged by HP Cook, whose teammate is obviously showing the way. And HP Cook is not showing Grumio any room here as they make their way through turns 18 and 19. HP Cook, forcing Grumio towards the inside. What contact made there? And I wonder if the stewards have to say about that as Grumio now goes through up into P11. And we'll see if HP Cook can try and come back at the champion. I'm sure he'd like to try and hold perhaps one of the bigger challenges to his teammate's victory right now at bay, but not a bit of it here. Grumio actively pulling away. It was a little bit of a DRS in play for HP Cook, and not close to go for another move. So he has to try and keep himself as close as he can to perhaps make something up later on. DJ still in P6, but about 2 seconds back from Curtis now. He's starting to pull away. He's 3.3 ahead, 3.3 behind the 3-car train that's been fighting over second place. Alvar still in P9, still holding that one place over Lucky Lambert. As it stands right now, Grumio's taking that last point. HP Cook now out of the points. We need to get himself up past one car. Perhaps hope for retirement in front, or a car drop off, or perhaps unlucky in the pits. Alvar still closing on Websy, but has been unable to make a move. Just waiting here for that correct chance to make their way in through turns 17, 18, and 19 now. Websy over the curb a fair bit there. Moving away from the line a little bit, trying to break toe perhaps. PJ with a 3-second penalty, and a number of cars being caught out in the first 2 corners as well as the last 2. So keep an eye out for that as the race goes on. These two have been nose to tail, these 2 Alpines. Cook still in pursuit of Grumio here, who's, I'm guessing, hoping he can try and drag him along to the cars in front. But as it stands right now, Grumio himself is out of DRS range. And HP Cook is about 6 tenths back, 6.5 tenths. Nearing going out of DRS range. Almost 6.8 seconds the gap between Imrie and Pope. Obviously, the more these two fight, the more Imrie can pull away and stretch that advantage bit by bit. Cutting the Goblin having quite a quiet race here. 22 seconds back from the next car, JB. And one perhaps hoping for a safety car to bring himself back into the fray. Everyone in the field made 1 stop so far, except for Grumio, who's made 3. Obviously, a difficult start to the race, brought back into play by that safety car, and it's now starting to get to work. But he's currently 19 seconds back to Imrie. He's actually been losing time. These last few laps he spent stuck behind that Sauber in P12. Lucky in front of him. So 2 champions of the series set to go at it on the racetrack. Both cars get DRS. Obviously, Lucky getting off Alvar in front. Alvar will get himself. Will be still tearing after Websy, trying to get around him, but to no avail. Grumio closer and closer here. And a vast gulf between the two champions in terms of success in the last 10 seasons since Lucky's title. So only crowned 4 different champions in that time. Only ever crowned Grumio, Pope, Landlord, and C1 Tim P-Fan back in season 15. That was 5 seasons ago. And we're looking at we're nearing 2.5 years since that title was won. So see, time has gone awfully fast here. Since F1 23, we're now nearing the F1 26 DLC, which hopefully will coincide quite nicely with the end of the RDL season, or at least as close as we can get it. There's still no word about that from EA or Codemasters, so concern there for a lot of players. We're on lap 36 now. Imri 7 seconds in front. And we'll keep an eye here on Grumio. I dare say we may see him make a move this time on this lap. And perhaps as confident there through turns 18 and 19 was Grumio. And I'm wondering if we're going to start nearing what are likely to be the second and final pit stops of the race as Alvar gets hit with a warning. Sorry, with a penalty, and that'd be big for Lucky behind. Because that immediately brings the McLaren back into play. But still needs to make that pass and hope that Grumio doesn't get to him first. This nice little 4-car train in the mid-pack. And in front of them, TJ about 2.5 seconds clear in P7 again. Looking fantastic for Red Bull right now. And Williams on course to get about 30 points, bring that championship gap down to 103. If not 104, thanks to Grumio having the 1 point. Apologies, Williams only 18 points. Obviously, Huff can't score. So the gap will come down to 115 as things stand, if not 116, thanks to Grumio. Now being technically in the top 10 of full-time drivers in the race. And Alvar trying to get out of dodge here, pulling away from Lucky Lambert. But at the same time, Webster continues to hold strong and maintain his advantage over him. 2.2 is TJ in front now, so the gap closed a little bit last time round. Car in the pits, Grumio's coming in. And his 4th pit stop of this Grand Prix. And perhaps we're not sure if we'll see him, what tires he emerge onto. I think he'll probably try to go to the end from here. What's he looking at? That's a hard tires going onto that car. He's away. And a wing change too. So not quite away. Grumio going for a bit of difference here. And I think likely will go to the end on these. There's still 25 laps to go. And now finds himself quite a way back in this race. Imri 7.7 in front. With Grumio stopping, we'll have to wonder when we'll see other drivers coming in. Obsessed has been on those medium tyres for 20 laps. I'd say I'd put him down as one of the next cars to come into the pit lane, if not one of the first cars. But maintain those things quite nicely. P14 right now, 3 places off for points paying finish. He's got the 2 Alpines in front of him, then one of the kick Sauber of HB Cook. As Dan again makes the pass on Pope. This time is turn 1 though, so a change has been made. And Pope trying the inside it through turn 3. On corner exit, pulling alongside. DRS in play, not quite yet. Pope's going to get it on the outside now through turn 5. On corner exit, gets in front, and that could open the door for Huff now to try and attack. Dan's got no DRS to fight back with. And Huff makes his move to the inside, challenging for 3rd place. Contact with the inside wall, moving Dan out a little bit. Can Dan outbrake Huff? It's close to contact. There is contact, and Huff almost forced off the road there. But Dan maintains P3, and Pope now about 7-8 tenths in front. And will try and pull away, I should think. And Dan, I think, going for the move too soon may have just cost him a bit. He finds himself back at square 1, if not back a square further than that. with half an hour on his tail and Pope actively pulling away with almost that 1 second gap. No DRS losses as of yet. He'll maintain it until they reach the exit at turn 17, at which point the next detection point will come into play for the main straight. That's what's going on. Almost 9 seconds now, the gap for Imrie in the lead. Lap 39. 23 laps to go next time by. Grumio P17, it's not been a great Grand Prix for him here. And I'm wondering perhaps if he's ruining the choice to be running on the first lap he set in qualifying. Start from P19, and then from there, I guess the plan was to work his way forward, but it hasn't been working out for him here. Obviously, I had a somewhat lucky, somewhat unlucky break with the safety car, obviously, given that it was at the expense of his teammate, who was in a good spot to try and score some points from this Grand Prix until sort of the midway stage of that first stint. And from there, he's just sort of made some progress, but obviously came into the pit lane here. It's his 4th stop of the race last time around, as JB gets another penalty. It's 12 seconds from now. Grumio fastest lap, as I say. That's perhaps he might have heard me. 1:32.036, and that's quite a bit faster than what Imrie's was, 1:32.5, so half a second in it. Pope's gone faster, 1:33.006. But Grumio currently 51 seconds back from Imrie. And I can't see that situation changing much for him. Unless we get another safety car, or just anything that could bring him back into the order again. And obviously, we'll see Giles pitting eventually, so I can't imagine it'll be ages until we do see some sort of change. But for the time being, it's been a tough race for Grumio. I'm sure one I'd like to forget. But Imrie's been in complete control of this one. I have to say, I think it'd be disappointing for universally if he was to fall away and come short in this one in particular. Just given how good he's been tonight so far, he's still got to finish the job and bring it home, but he's been doing brilliantly. And we've got 2 cars in. Lucky and HP Cook both making changes. These two have been sort of fighting in and around the points all night. Lucky's been just inside them. HP Cook's been just out. And medium tyres for Lucky. I think they'll try and take a bit of risk in the last stint. As Grumio again goes faster. Makes it some places here. Goes up to P14 once again. But Lucky rejoins in front of HP Cook. So I think we're nearing those last pit stops now of the Grand Prix, where they can sort of try and split the stints. And Imrie could go another 22 laps on hard tyres from here. Maintain that lead. And Huff will need to serve that 10-second penalty shortly, which will move Curtis, I think, into 4th place outright. And that'll move DJ up a spot too. Right now, Aston Martin scoring 16 points for their championship. Alpine only scoring scoring 3 for the time being, so that'll move Aston back in front of the Enstone team. So that fight could be perhaps the most exciting one in the championship this season. That fight for 7th place. Obviously, McLaren and Ferrari, I think, will rage on to the last round. Those point scores that won't be taken for granted by either one of those two teams. And the fight for P3 in the championship still on. Mercedes in position in that one right now, but Red Bull have been closing in. And they're looking to try and close some more points tonight with their positioning. Currently, to my mind, they're scoring 20 points, which is more than Mercedes 15 with Dan. So a few points gained, but no points are bad points at this stage of the season, to put it one way. PJ, set hard tyres on that car. He's going to emerge just behind Obsessed. He might emerge just in front. Nope, the Mercedes car comes through. It's a very tight pit exit there at turn 1. The whole pit lane in Singapore is very, very awkward. Pope in control of P2 here. Since that fight earlier on, where Dan, obviously Huff almost took third place away, Dan has not been able to make a challenge since that point. Only a few laps ago, but since then, there's been no real fight for that position. And I think it's taken a mistake from Pope now to bring Dan well and truly back into play, because both cars are quite good on battery here. Huff is struggling with his ERS right now, quite low, and having it depleted the majority of the time here. Grumio passing JB of P12 for the back. He currently sits 48 seconds back from the lead. He was 51 seconds back about 3 or 4 laps ago, so making some progress, but I shouldn't think we'll have enough left in the tank to chase down the leader at the end of the race. Plus, those hard tyres will eventually wear thin. Dan again getting close, but not enough for now. Saving up battery. Ethan's in. Both Alpines have now made their stops, and likely going to the end from where they are. This will move Grumio back into the points-paying places here. Hard tyres on, Ethan away. A bit wide on corner exit. Lucky Lambo goes full, takes full advantage on those fresh medium tyres up into P12 now. And I'm guessing the plan for him here is try and fight forward and just try and gain some time on Alvaro as he's still on the 24-lap old worn hard tyres. And once Alvaro pits, we'll see if Lucky emerges perhaps in front. But he's just trying to keep up with Grumio for the time being. What, the gap 1.8 seconds. Actually closing that gap in a little bit, I think, here. I'm not too sure. I just have to keep an eye on that and see how close Lucky stays. And it will come to a head when Alvaro makes his stop in the late portion of this race. Well, we're inside the last 20 laps now. We're on to lap 43 as you see Courtney Goblin in. Hard tyres, sorry, medium tyres going on that car. So mediums are both Ferraris. Courtney's had quite a quiet race tonight. Hasn't really been around anyone in terms of making a challenge in this one. So tough day for him in the office. Pope still in second. Dan looked a bit closer that time. We'll see if he goes for anything out of turn 5. Pope hanging on to it for now, though. No chance for a move from Dan for the time being. TJ awfully close to DJ now. That gap has been closed down. Obviously, it's been a long chase in this race, and obviously DJ was chasing Curtis, but he's now fallen away from one Red Bull and falling now into the clutches of another. And Red Bull wanting big points in this Grand Prix, and they're getting them as it stands. It will be 22 points in the championship for Red Bull being gained to their total for the season should TJ pass DJ from here. Curtis safe by himself. HP Cook now passing JB. JB down to P14. It's been a difficult race for VCOP tonight. 10th currently in 10th place, but should need to stop again. I can't see it going the end of the Grand Prix on these tyres. It's been the same tyres for everyone since that safety car, save the cars who have already pitted, and Imri again stays out. And if I was Imri, I'd be a bit more cautious in terms of tyre wear in this race. Obviously, one of the two drivers who were struck with the late punctures at Monza just 14 days ago. Both Imri and Kopp were struck on the final lap. Imri, of course, was chasing a higher finishing position. Kopp was sort of scrounging in and around the points throughout the day and had a good shot to claim some. Kopp made the flag, albeit on 3 wheels. Imri got himself stalled at turns going through the first Lesmo. So that was down at turn number 5, or turn 6 rather. And from there, didn't finish the Grand Prix despite being up there in the top 5 throughout. So Imri trying to make up for lost time here. And obviously, with that gamble last week in terms of tyres as the weather changed in Baku going on to that last restart, didn't work out for him and a number of other drivers who, in the end, the dry tyre runners who went for those dries in the race didn't see the flag. Or at least not in the points, is the key thing for them. But Imri's lead now larger than it was back before that safety car came out on lap 16, lap 17. Their gap's now at 13 seconds, more or less. Where it was at about 9. 16 laps in. Yellow flag for the back. That's a car off. That's one of the RBs. The JB's gone off. Recovers the... No, sorry, that's 10th has gone off. 10th has recovered the car. I'm guessing amount of damage here, going quite slowly. I was sort of taking 3/4 of the throttle through turn 9 there. And no damage done, but she carries on down to P13 now. And a few of those cars have made stops now in front of her. The chase continues for Pope, Dan, and Huff. They're all still together after almost 30 laps of racing each other. Curtis there in P5, again sort of by himself, but was being chased by DJ, but now under pressure from the other Red Bull of TJ. Webbs, he's sort of watching this go on in front, hoping his teammate can hang on, try and claim those points for the team. Alvar and Grumio now P9, P10. Alvar chasing Webbsy. And Courtney Goblin is now the Ferrari chasing right behind Alvar. Imagine quite a familiar sight for Alvar to have the Ferrari on his tail. And Lucky's managed to catch Grumio here on these tyres. As DJ and TJ are going at it. DJ stays in front for the time being, but Lucky has managed to close the gap completely here to Grumio. Ethan penalty. Ethan currently down in P14. And the Alpines sort of struggling towards the end of these Grand Prix, it seems. Lucky now makes the pass on Grumio there into turn 7. And a Ferrari passing the reigning champion. Definitely a rare sight this season. And Grumio, it's not been his night tonight. Not in the slightest. Obviously 4 pit stops. His inner Jensen Button is not there with him right now. Not home as it stands. DJ continues to hold off that charging Red Bull behind, but for how long is the question? He's still got another 16 laps to go. We're on lap 46 now this Grand Prix. And Pope, I'm guessing, hoping that something happens to the car in front of him in the lead that can give him a chance to win this race. Obviously, if that happened, to be under pressure immediately from Dan and Huff. And Lucky actively pulling away from Grumio right now. He's about 7-8 tenths in front. But Grumio with a bit more battery. And obviously will go longer on those tyres than Lucky can. Lucky fastest lap, 1:31.5. That's a brilliant lap from him there. And easily the fastest of the race by just under 3 tenths or so, under 2 or 3 tenths. So big gains. And to mind here, I mean, it's only 12 seconds between Lucky and Alvar. So when Alvar, should he stop again, which I think he might do, perhaps for a set of mediums himself at the end of the race as JB comes in, I should think we might see Alvar lose out to Lucky through the pit stops as the change is made for JB. Hard tyres going on. 10th Cannon's on a set of soft tyres here. She's going for something different completely here to go to the end. She's 20 seconds back from the next car being PJ in P15. Again, tough race for VCARB tonight. JB emerges. It's his second stop of the Grand Prix. Only the top 9 yet to make their second stops as DJ gets hit with the penalty. And that will definitely cost him in his fight with TJ. He can count himself fortunate right now. The only driver he's losing out to, other than TJ, is his teammate Webbsy. So those points are still going to be going Aston Martin's way if things stay as they are now. And save for this fight for second. Everyone quite spaced out here up and down the field. Pope is yet to be realistically challenged again by Dan since that run in a few laps ago. We're looking at around 10 laps ago at this point now. But nothing doing for the time being for those guys. Alvar a lot closer now to Webbsy. Lucky still closing in. He's about 10 seconds back at this point. Both cars with the same amount of penalties. Grumio currently in P11 as it stands. Imrie nearing the line here. He's almost 15 seconds in front with 15 laps to go in this Grand Prix. It's just been completely commanding so far from this guy. It's been brilliant driving. And we wonder realistically where this has been all season from Imrie. He's been up there in qualifying throughout. Obviously, enjoyed a tough start to the season in Australia. That crash mid-Grand Prix. Didn't see the flag in the first race. but came through. As I mentioned earlier, that sort of that cheeky strategy gamble against Grumio took full advantage. Dan gets penalty. Dan with a penalty now as well. And that should mean Pope is more or less guaranteed for second place unless Dan can get around him. And Huff going through. Dan, I think, lifting off there. So Dan down to P4 now. The two Williams cars in second and third. Obviously, Dan was to take the points for that position. But likely he'll be able to jump Pope for second unless Pope gets a penalty of his own. Not quite sure how close he is on warnings. We'll keep an eye on that. But Imrie, yeah, I mean since that victory in China, he's been sort of a shadow of that race winner. And since then, has been obviously faced with disappointment after disappointment in this campaign. Some of it just poor timing, some of it bad luck, some of it just not being quick enough on the day. There's been a multitude of different things here that happened in this driver's season so far. But right now, he is 14 laps from a masterful victory at Singapore. And Grumio still behind Lucky Lambert, still struggling to make anything up. He's going to score 1 point as it stands. Dan may have shot himself in the foot in terms of the amount of points he could gain back off Grumio to try and prevent him from celebrating that championship next week in Austin, Texas. If he can get himself into second, that'll do him a world of good. That'll bring the gap down to 131 the standings, meaning that Grumio would need to more or less win the race with Dan out the points in order to clinch the title. But Dan obviously now in 4th place. And still scoring 15 points. The gap's going to go down a little bit, but not by much right now. It's only a 14-point gain for Dan as they run. DJ still leading TJ. Fantastic drive to keep him behind for this long. Especially given he's had no DRS to defend with. Websy still under pressure from Alvar and can't make a mistake. And Grumio now finally making the pass and Lucky again. Up into P10. But 38 seconds back. And I'm thinking it could be too little too late now for Grumio. And it'd take a late safety car, I think, to change the game for anyone here. On to lap 50 now. Chase continuing for Alvar right now. Obviously, still got luck. Still got Courtney Goblin behind him in that Ferrari. But saying that, both Grumio and Lucky are closing that gap as it stands. And no one pitting, so I'm guessing we're going to be set to go to the end on these tyres for the majority of the field. But Lucky's gone for a gamble, and it's working out for him right now. He'll have done, I think, 22 laps on those tyres should he reach the flag on them. Which should be okay for him. 10th Cannon, currently running by herself P16. But has gained a few seconds on PJ in front. Ethan P14. He's chasing Obsessed right now. Obsessed with a couple of strokes of luck with him. Could try and potentially nab a point or two. If things would go his way in these last parts of the Grand Prix. Have to wait and see, but quite a drive for a number of cars in the field, especially for the back. And Dan has fallen off the train completely here. Huff and Pope pulling away. And Dan out of DRS range. And I'm thinking perhaps locked into finishing in 4th place. Curtis 8 seconds behind, almost 9. So no real threat of Curtis upending him for that spot, I should think, unless Dan makes a huge mistake. And DJ is making no progress in pulling away from that Red Bull. And equally, he's got Websy about 2 seconds back behind. So may lose out to him too. But saying that, Alvar is still there. Grumio and Lucky looking up, but all three of those cars have penalties. So realistically, Webb's the only one who can gain right now. And Grumio's trying to close that gap to Alvar, 3.2 in front. But Lucky might have other ideas here. Lucky might try and challenge him. Thought about the outside for a second, thinks better of it, stays in line. Grumio shuts him off. And will we see Huff go for a move, perhaps, on Pope? These two have been in formation the entirety of the race so far. Huff's been in no place to go for a challenge. Dan's got DRS backs, but nowhere near close enough to be considered a threat for position just yet. So the question is, do the two Williams cars think about fighting each other at all in terms of a race for second place? I mean, obviously only Pope is a full-time Williams driver, so I'm sure Huff wouldn't like to get in Pope's way too much in terms of their fight to score points and close on Haas and the constructors, because they'll be closing in by a few points today. Not by a ton, but by points nonetheless, as Lucky gets back around Grumio. And again, the champion's progress is halted as both cars continue to close on Alvar, Websy, and TJ. And Lucky, I wonder how far up he can push at the end of this race. Done a fantastic job on these tyres so far. Just driving the wheels off that machine right now, doing a brilliant job. And I wonder here, how close does TJ need to be to think about a move potentially on that Aston Martin? I mean, realistically, he knows he doesn't have to. He can just sort of follow DJ home. But I'm sure he'd much rather take the place. He goes for a slide there himself through turn 17. Recovers the car nice and easy, but that could be a sign that perhaps those hard tyres are starting to give way. As we're near the last 10 laps of this Singapore Grand Prix. Long Grand Prix it's been. One of, if not definitely one of the longest all season, without a doubt. And Lucky now finally in DRS range of Alvar and looking to score some more points for that team to try and push them in front. Try to help them close the gap to McLaren in the constructors. As TJ again looks to be threatening DJ for a second, no chance. And as Alvar continues to struggle with Websy, that Ferrari and the Haas behind are now brought into play. You saw Imrie going through in front of them on the other side of the circuit, going down towards turn 16. And Imrie now just 10 laps away from win number 4 and his second win of the season. Pope locking up a little bit there. Huff is going to be close. He might try and take advantage, but at the same time, don't want to get backed up to Dan too much. JB, another penalty for him. Obviously running in P17, 15 seconds of penalties there. And Huff's still got 10 seconds, let's not forget. So, potentially Curtis might as well jump him anyway, if he can get close enough. But Curtis has been falling away a bit in the last few laps or so. As it goes going almost 3 wide there into the last corner. That was awfully close there between Alvar, Lucky, and Grumio. Didn't get a great angle of it, but there goes Grumio into P9. Lucky now around Alvar. So progress being made then as Ferrari will now jump, or now try and close a point, and they jump in front of McLaren in the order of the race. And Websy now has got Grumio right behind him. After many laps having to deal with Alvar and that McLaren, all of a sudden he's got a very quick Haas on hard tyres and a very fast Ferrari on mediums bearing down on him. As there goes TJ challenging into turn 7. Both cars sliding. As Grumio makes the pass and Websy behind. DJ still holding TJ at bay, but he's sliding around there, and I'm wondering if he's lacking grip. It's been 35 laps since that safety car, since the pit stops came through. Majority of cars in this top 10 trying the one stop in this Grand Prix. It's worked so far. Grumio 4 stops in 8th place. It'll be 7th place for him once the reserves are removed, as Dan now passing Huff for 3rd. And Huff down to 4th again. But Pope 1.5 seconds up the road himself. As Imrie starts lap 54. Can Dan now come back at him? Grumio around Websy, Lucky making the pass too. And Websy falling back here. Websy down to P11. It's been a big fall off in the last few corners. No damage to Aston Martin. There is damage. There's been contact. And Websy's left end plate's gone. So Websy's points may have gone down the drain here. So Huff comes to the pit lane. Will we see late stops in this Grand Prix? As Websy joined them, Websy stays out. He's carrying on for the time being. Wing change for Huff. Huff's got damage. Same thing for Huff. He's going to recover the car. Hard tyres on, so that will leave these away. Obviously serving the 10-second penalty as well. That's the other thing. There he goes. And I thought he'd serve the penalty before they changed his tyres, but hey ho. And Huff then down the order And down to P15. So the top 10 now fully comprised of full-time drivers. So we've got a bit better idea as to who's going to finish where, who's going to score what points. Webbsy holds that last point, but HB Cook is closing in 1.2 behind us. Grumio now passing DJ. TJ P5 waiting next. Grumio 32 seconds back. I think at best he's going to catch Curtis and finish in 4th place. I think he's nowhere near close to be able to challenge Dan or Pope, and definitely not Imri, who starts lap 55. And DJ and Lucky side by side now. Things getting interesting in this mid-pack as DJ defends underneath. Lucky with a better drive off. DRS as well. Both cars get the rear wing open. But Lucky pulls in front. Oh, around goes DJ. DJ spins off into the inside wall. And the front wing broken. And the McLaren goes sliding on through. He's have to wait for him to go through before he realigns himself. But it's been quite a while since any sort of incident in this Grand Prix. And now DJ slips it down at last. Just lost the grip, lost the back end of the car, going through turn 15. Damage done to the Aston Martin. Likely that'll be his race over, I think, in terms of points. Tough break for DJ. It's been fantastic this entire race in terms of holding TJ at bay. Wouldn't surprise me if he retires in the Grand Prix here. And that's it for him. Disappointing end to the evening for Aston Martin, who could have scored a fair few more points in terms of their chase with Alpine, but now only scored 2 with Webbsy to stand, and it could be 1. It'll be more than that potentially when the penalties are totted up. But HB Cook goes around the outside, makes them move. They're going side by side for P9 up towards turn 7. HB Cook still there. Webbsy out, breaks the Sauber. There's contact on corner exit. Webbsy maintains the place. P9 for him. But again, just 2 points for Aston Martin right now. So Sauber looks to try again. Can't quite do it. Obviously, points being gained for Sauber. Yellow flag, last sector. JB's out. And a safety car has been called. And with just 7 laps to go for Imri in the lead by 15 seconds. His lead has been reduced to nothing. And all of a sudden, we've got a late finish on our hands. Imri pits. I should think soft tyres going on. But a gutting way to end the Grand Prix, perhaps. Imri's going to need to muster up everything here. And Grumio's going to be on his tail as well. So, and everyone's going to be all together and likely on soft tyres for this last restart. This could be so tense. Medium tyres the call for Sauber. He's away. Nice and easy. I can see Williams lining up soft tyres for Pope, I think I see. Yes, I do. And a change on that front then. So, going to be difficult here as Dan almost comes out in front of Pope, but Pope beats him out. Lucky stays out. Lucky staying out and will take 2nd place away. That's a big gamble from the Ferrari driver. He's going for something big here later in this Grand Prix. Wait to see everyone comes out and react to this moment. So here we have it then. Lucky may serve as a little bit of a roadblock between Imri and then Pope and Dan. Obsessed in P5, going for a gamble himself for some points. Curtis P6, Grumio P7 now. TJ P8, Huff P9, Alva P10. Obviously, Dan will be out of a chance at a decent finish. I think Pope will be the main contender for Imri to keep at bay. And I wonder if DJ will now be kicking himself after retiring just seconds before that instant. And I wonder how many laps we're going to have left to go. I'm going to guess we're going to have probably 4 laps left when this thing comes through. If I had to put a wager on it. But this is going to be a very, very tense end to this Grand Prix. JB out. Tough day for him. V-Carb was a whole of a difficult evening. Didn't see what happened, but... But in terms of your tyres for this final restart, it's fresh for almost everyone here, except for Lucky, Huff, and Obsessed. And Courtney Goblin also on a worn set of tyres, but is on warm mediums, but is a lap down. I don't think he's going to get let through. And DJ obviously gutting stuff for him. Lucky disconnects. That could be a concern. He's up there in second place right now. He's been fantastic on those tyres. Obviously, he's got 3 seconds too. So there'll be a number of cars here who fall down in the order of the checker flag, unless they can have big jumps here late on. But Lucky's been marvellous on those medium tyres, but I should think they're starting to wear thin. So it'll be up to Pope and up to Dan to try and get past him on the restart and give themselves the best chance possible at attacking Imrie, who I think will be heartbroken if he doesn't win this race from here, because he's been by far and away the fastest car all night, without a shadow of a doubt. Pulled leads of both 9 and then 15 seconds before the safety cars came out, and obviously led away from pole. And Imrie, if he can, I doubt he'll be able to do it here late on, but if he can somehow nab the fastest lap back off Lucky Lambert, which I think he might be able to do on a fresh set, which he's got, then we may potentially see Imrie pull off a Grand Slam. Starting from the pole, leading every lap, and setting fastest lap, as well as obviously winning the race. But he's got to now keep his head. This will be the true mark of whether or not he has been destined to win this Grand Prix from the start. So just waiting here. Not going just yet. So I'm guessing, I'm probably right in the fact that there'll be 4 laps to go, I should think. I can't see him making a late call for the safety car now. 10 to Stewart to come round. And it's going to be difficult. And Lucky now pitting. I wonder if his AI is going to make the change. Hard tyres going like if it wants to... I dare say the AI may have just let Lucky down there. Lucky's been put onto a very worn set of hard tyres. As he's rejoined. And that's going to blow Ferrari's chances of points completely with Alvar still in the top 10. That's gutting for Ferrari, but at the same time it also leaves Imrie open to attack from the get-go here from Pope and Dan, who at least at first for the Sauber driver had the roadblock of that Ferrari in play. And likely is going to end up with nothing now. But the 2 Ferraris are going to join up tail end of the field. And we're going to have this restart. And realistically, Pope's the one with a shout to still win this race over Imrie. Grumio's there in P6. I doubt he can make up those places to full ups to go and then build 3 seconds. I think that'd be beyond his talent. Dan's got 3 seconds. He's got a shout to do, but he hasn't really had the pace to pull away all night. He's been struggling in that fight with Pope so far in this race. I'd argue Pope's had the measure of him tonight. It's been quite evenly matched, but Pope, I dare say, has edged it. And obviously why he's still in second place at the minute. But they've both been chasing one man, and that's Imrie in front of them. And the safety car gets called, so 4 laps to go to decide this thing. So there is enough time if Dan can get himself in front immediately and then start to build 3 seconds. I think he could do it on those soft tyres, but it's going to be quite tense here. And I doubt anyone's going to be able to build a lead. So I think if Imrie does get passed by Dan, his focus should be trying to maintain P2 because Pope will be on him like a stabbed rat. And Imrie needs to be on it like a stabbed rat at the same time to try and pull away here. Obviously, he nailed the restart earlier on in the race. He's got to try and do it again here to get himself a 2nd race win this season, the 4th of his career. The only question is, where does he go? He's not going just yet. He's going to wait for the right time to do it. Not at the moment. Might go same place again. He's backing them all the way up now, waiting for it. And there he goes. Not as strong a restart as last time, but he's a bit closer this time round. But the green flag's back out. 4 laps to go in Singapore to decide the race. And Imrie got the few tenths he needed here. He's going to need all his battery to maintain in order to have a shout to still win this race. As Curtis makes the move immediately on Grumio, side by side for P5. Grumio at the inside, challenging, and goes through past Curtis. It's all single file behind them. Everyone just starts to get involved in combat sooner rather than later. As the top 3 pulling away. Obsessed holding up the entire train here as Grumio now stuck behind the hard tyre. Mercedes contact there. Grumio tries the outside, will get through, blast through easily on the soft tyre. But Obsessed goes through, contact made, and off goes Obsessed into the barrier and takes Grumio with him. And neither car can move. Safety car's back out. And Grumio's out. And that was not what we saw coming on that late restart. And now we've got to rack him up and go again. After Imri nailed the start, we've got to rack him up and go for what I'm guessing will maybe just 2 laps this time round. But gutting into the race for Grumio, who came through the field from P19 and now find himself finishing, I'm guessing, in P16. Because Cotney is still classified right now. And Obsessed will have that on his conscience. But they'll rack him and go again. I'm guessing just to lock up that went too late there. But on the bright side, it's going to be quite a short build up to the restart. And Imri's now got what I'm guessing a lap or 2 less of DRS to worry about. They'll need to rebuild battery and go again here. We're on lap 60 of the Grand Prix. And a second late restart. There's Courtney one off there at turn 16 and recovers the car. A few cars coming into the pit lane now. I'm guessing for another set of fresh soft tyres, if I had to assume. PJ's in another set for him. A wing change too, so damage must have been sustained from him in that little traffic jam. Obsessed is in. Wing change again, soft tyres in that car now. PJ Lucky. Lucky still with a shout at some points in this race. He's currently holding the last point, but Alvar now in P7. That would be P6 in for points once the reserve Huff gets removed. Alvar's got a penalty to think about too. Grumio leaves the session. Disappointing ends the evening for him. And Pope, who was famously denied in last week's race at the very last second in Baku, will not want to let this opportunity slide past him this time. This is going to be a crucial restart that will determine the winner of the Singapore Grand Prix. And the Red Bulls there, P4, P5. I'm guessing we're going to see a podium out of one of them here. Thanks to Dan's penalty, unless they pull away. A number of cars are going to end up with solid finishes in the points here. I think that Saab will do quite nicely, regardless of whether or not Imri wins the race, with HB Cook also there. And the points may gain a few more, may gain at least 3 spots, provided he doesn't get a penalty of his own. And the safety car being called in once again. So 2-lap restart to settle this Grand Prix. There's going to be 2 laps of racing, and Imri needs to get the restart better this time. Pope goes for a bit of a slide there, going out of turn 14, recovers the car. As Imri gets all the heat into his tyres he can for this last push. He's led 60 laps this Grand Prix, and I'm sure it would break his heart to not lead the 62nd and final lap, the 1 lap that counts for points. He's got to get this one right, and Pope's right behind him. What did he try? He's gone for it here. Gone a bit earlier than before. Bit of a slide there, lack of grip, and Pope's right on his tail this time. 2 laps to go in Singapore. This is for the win. Courtney now in P15. Grumio solidified in 16th place in this Grand Prix. 5 retirees, and the top 4 and top 5 are in pursuit. All chasing Imri for the lead. But Imri's had the most pace all night. If he can just pull away and not get his own head too much, then he may win this thing. Courtney around again. Yellow flag down at turn number 11. Recovers the car. Pope is close, but just needs to keep himself in range here. And DRS may well carry him through. This time as opposed to last time. I can't see the race control disabling DRS now. I can only see them enabling it for 1 lap and 1 lap only. As Imri shows the way by about 6 tenths now to Pope. Yellow flag behind us. Again, Courtney gone around. Needs to recover that car before the leaders get to him. He's in quite a tough position. There's damage done to his end plate. He might have to wait to let him go now. Because here they come. So he gets himself back on the circuit. He's going to come up where the leaders are. He's got damage, and there's Imri appearing behind him. Does Lucky pit, or do the leaders catch him? Because Imri may well get DRS off him if he's close enough. Does Courtney go? Sorry, this is Courtney gone until not Lucky. I think Courtney's pitting. Yes, he is. So Imri then 6 tenths in front. He was 15 seconds clear about 10 laps ago as we start the last lap here in Singapore. 1 more to go. He's 1 lap from a Grand Slam on the race victory. His 4th of his career, but Pope is still bearing down on him. This will be the last lap. DRS in play. Obsessed Gamer fastest lap. and could still score some points in this race if things are kind to him with penalties late on. If he doesn't get one of his own, slide for Imrie. Pope is there, and we'll like to try and go all out here to try and get around Imrie. Closing that gap in. It's not close enough. Let's go for it. That's been the biggest overtaking opportunity all night so far, and Imrie may still have this one under control. Courtney recovers from the pit lane. Soft tires back on that car. And the chase continues on as Dan also pulling away from Curtis behind. Curtis on course for another podium finish. His second in 4 races. Imrie just needs to control himself for another half a lap here. And he'll be home with a win. Awfully close to the barrier there. Keep the car under control. Yellow flag again for Courtney. Recovers the car. Pope's going to need DRS and the run of his life here on corner exit. But Dan may have other ideas, trying to take second place away. Yellow flags in that first sector. Imrie is 7/10 in front. I think he may have this one. He's led the entirety of the Grand Prix here and has survived 2 late safety car restarts, soaked up all the pressure from a champion behind him and the runner-up in the standings as it runs like now. But it's been a grand slam for Imrie. 2 corners from the flag after a masterful drive, 62 laps, and the race wins Singapore. Imrie wins the Singapore Grand Prix. Pope in second, Dan third, Curtis fourth. Curtis takes the podium. Curtis P4. Sorry, TJ P4, Dan P5, Websy, HP Cook, Huff, Alvar, Lucky, take your points. Wait for him to sort of settle down here from the penalties. Obsessed ends up in the points. Lucky Lambert takes the last one. Alvar finishes P9 there. Ethan, PJ, 10th and Courtney round out your order. But Imrie finally back on the top step and after a masterful race. And that was an exciting end to the Grand Prix, which I think needed some livening up in all seriousness. We've definitely seen more chaotic races in Singapore. But man, that was fun. A fun end to the race. And I'm glad we got that in without any sort of stuttering or any problems with the stream at all. Fantastic race. Fair play as always to everyone who makes the flags in these full-length Grand Prix because they never fail to disappoint in terms of endurance. As Courtney is struggling to the flag here. Round he goes again. And he's going to back the car. I think he's going to back the car up to the finish line. Nope, spinning the car around and just has to get to the flag now. Not quite sure what's going on with that car because he hasn't got a puncture or anything. As 10th has crossed the line, 10th has crashed the car and come into the flag. But there it is, Imrie the winner. Grand Slam. Pole position, fastest lap, led all the laps, and won the Grand Prix. Late pressure, soaked up at the last there. And victory for him, the second of the season. Joins Dan and Grumio as the only drivers to have won more than 1 Grand Prix in season 20, in a season that's been largely dominated by Grumio, who doesn't even see the flag today. Imrie wins, and that's got to feel good. Obviously, a much shorter win streak to be snapping this time as the stewards are still waving the checkered flag. The celebrations begin for Kick Sauber, their second win of the year. Brilliant stuff in Singapore tonight. And Curtis winds up on the podium too, let's not forget. Everything was thrown at these guys today. And Imrie wins out. And we'll see if we can have a look at your sort of final results in this race. Imrie wins it from Pope in second. Curtis comes home in the podium. TJ fourth. Dan P5. Websy, HP Cook, Huff, Alvar, and Obsessed take him to the top 10. Lucky will get the last point when Huff gets removed from the top 10 per reserve rules. Ethan behind him in P12. PJ P13. 10th P14. Courtney P15. Classified 2 laps down. Grumio classified as 4 laps down. Goes down to DNF at the end of the Grand Prix. And DJ, JB, Ericsson, AT, you're classed as your full-on DNFs. And we've already got a very excited Imrie here in the commentary box. Imrie, welcome in, my man. Fantastic. Second win of the year. And a Grand Slam as well. So, fantastic drive. Well done, mate. Imrie, can you hear us?
Now I can.
There we go. Okay, well, there we are then. That was a fantastic drive, to say the least. I mean, I do have to ask the first thing, what was the sort of immediate reaction when that safety car came out? So it was what, about 7 laps to go?
Yeah, I was throwing my hands in the air.
I'm guessing that's all the words you got for right now. Obviously, the late safety car restart, the collision for the back, which sent Grumio out of the Grand Prix. That last restart, I did want to ask you about that in terms of the pressure. Was there a risk at all of Pope getting around you on the last lap?
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that at all for us?
Well, they were on fresh soft, so what can you do? just it's quality laps to the end.
I mean, obviously, it felt truthfully like you were pulling out quality laps for the majority of the Grand Prix there. I mean, what was there any particular secret behind the pace today?
I mean, I was literally saying halfway through, my tyre wear wasn't wearing. It was brilliant today.
Obviously, pulled out the gaps. 9 seconds for the first safety car, 15 before the second one at the very end there. I'll ask you this: with 7 more rounds to go, is this the start of seeing perhaps a different Imri for the last part of the season?
Absolutely, possibly. You never know.
And obviously, looking ahead to the next race in Texas, is that a race you can come forward and win as well? Same sort of pace? What do you reckon?
I remember finishing second there once, not too long ago, so I definitely have pace around there.
Fair enough. We'll see if we can carry that pace on to next week. But obviously, a masterful win, fantastic drive from both Kick Sauber cars. As HB Cook, who also joins in the comms box, ends up with P7 at the flag. HB Cook, mate, obviously got through their clean race with a lack of penalties, and that obviously gets you over the line points-wise. But still a fantastic drive nonetheless. Obviously, you were in the midfield a lot of the race, so sort of talk me through what you saw.
I think I'm gonna be so honest. It was chaos. I've raced in this lead for only 2 seasons, and some of the standards I saw tonight were diabolical. There were people braking early. I think I got front wing damage on lap 1. I had to travel like 17 laps of front wing damage. Thank Christ the safety car came out when it did. But yeah, it was just chaos. People being not what I expected with this lead, but at the end of the day, what can you do? And when you've got however many time champ Grumio is forcing you off at one at corners because he can't wait for a straight, what more can you actually do in that scenario where apart from battling hard and showing what you're made of?
Obviously, I had all sorts going on over the course of the race tonight, but obviously the late safety car restart obviously played into your hands at the very end there. I mean, were you close to a penalty at all? What were the warnings like for you?
No, I was on one warning until the very last lap. I was with my mate who were engineering. He said you're all done warnings for the end. But again, I think Grumio and whoever hit Grumio decided that they wanted to create a car crash in middle sector. So again, I got front wing damage for second time in race, which pretty much put any perspective me doing past Websy or anybody else out of reach. But, Imri got a win, which is great for him. He's, the work he's put in has been excellent to see. A good point start for us both. We just had to take this forward, but I think if the racing's anything like tonight, then Jesus, I don't know what I can say. It were awful.
I'll say this in terms of the points for Kick Sauber on the board. 31 points from you guys projected, provided that the Stewart report stays the same as the results are for you guys. Obviously, that brings you a bit closer to the fight with Red Bull once again. Is that a fight you guys think you can take to the end?
Oh, always. Obviously, hopefully this is Imri now find a bit of form. I'm always going to be like somewhat around there, end at points. Obviously, Red Bull, they're a great duo. I think they finished 3rd and 4th, I think, today. So they are a great duo themselves. So it's going to be tough, but we'll give it everything and see how we go. But it's also down to who can. It's not racing at the minute. It's who can survive the carnage, shall we say?
I mean, we're on a purpose-built circuit next week at COTA, so hopefully we'll see a bit less now. See COTA a lot more wide-open circuit in that sense. I think just the street circuits are a lot more chaotic. I think that's the expectation there.
Yeah. Obviously, COTA is a track that I like to do well around. So, hopefully we can look from my other leads when I've done racing there and take the positives into that and sort of this result tonight for both of us and keep building moving forwards.
A potential springboard for Sauber then in these closing rounds of 7 to go in the season. So both cars coming through with points today. And the same thing for Curtis, who gets himself back on the podium. Curtis P3, mate, the patient approach working well once again. But I mean, for the most part, quite a quiet race until that late safety car came out.
Yeah, just held position off the start. Wasn't really looking to threaten anything. Never was, just trying to stay in DRS of the cars ahead. Had DJ behind me the whole race and just managed to keep him at arm's width. He never really had a chance. In fact, never looked for a chance either. But no, just managed to keep it between the white lines as well. Keep it out the wall. just a very measured approach. I had good pace. It was just about not overdriving it.
And obviously the fighting late on that first safety car restart at the very end. Did you catch any glimpse of what happened with Grimio behind you?
Yeah. So exit turn 3, me and Grimmy were side by side. I let him go in 3 seconds worth of penalties. It wasn't my fight. Obsess was a bit less keen to let him go. I think trying to build a buffer for his teammate, and into what was that, turn 1, 2, 3, 6, turn 6, no, turn 7. Sorry. Obsess just thought he had more grip than he actually had, I think, and I think just went straight on. And Grimio trying to go around the outside of him had nowhere to go. So it's an unfortunate one, a bit over-eager by Obsess, but just a mistake at the end of the day on old tyres against new tyres.
Obviously, big points for you guys at Red Bull, 3rd and 4th, 27 going your way, but Sauber closing in a little bit, so that fight's carrying on. I know you guys have got the approach to taking it one at a time for these last 2 rounds, but is the confidence still there? You can still beat them if Imri carries on this form?
Well, who knows? I mean, it's a team sport. It's all well and good, Imri winning every race, but I think Cook's back in the points this race, which is obviously great for them. But what makes us so strong is both of us consistently scoring points. And I think we're one of the only teams that are able to do that right now. So, I'm not trying to out Cook by any means. He's a great driver, just being unlucky. But, it takes 2 to really have a solid charge.
Fair enough. And obviously looking ahead to next week's race in Kota, obviously mean solid. I've had to double check my notes here, but didn't score points there last season from a personal standpoint. Is that something you think you can change this time around?
I mean, there's a lot of places I didn't score points last season that I have this season. Kota is one which I don't like because of the tyre wear, and it depends on the temperature, the tyre temps as well. It's very front limited, which isn't one of my strengths. But I've had a lot of circuits this season where I haven't expected anything great and managed to get points. So why not? Well,
there's only one way to find out. Obviously going to next week's race, then we're only one place to find out too. That'll be next time out, the 30th of March. Well, obviously, good job in terms of the podium finish at the end. Hopefully, we'll see 1 or 2 more from you come the end of the season. And yeah, that'll do us in terms of tonight's action. So guys, thanks so much for watching tonight's race here in the Racers Driving League around Singapore. Next week's race will be, as I say, the United States Grand Prix on the 30th of March. Same time, same place on the Zach Rossi channel. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more future audio content. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time out. Goodbye.